to call the meeting to order. This is the nomination meeting for District 16 by-election, and we are in lovely Cornwall-Meadowbank and joined by all of you online. I would like to acknowledge that the land upon which we organize, advocate, and gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people who have lived on this land from time immemorial. Pawtucket, or the land settlers have named Prince Edward Island, is one of the 7 districts of Mi'kma'ki, making up the eastern region of Canada. So it is my pleasure to invite Todd MacLean, who is here with us in Cornwall, to take the stage, introduce himself, and share with us why, Todd, you are seeking the Green Party nomination for District 16.
Thank you so much, Susan. Lovely introduction. Thanks be to Honorable Peter Bevan-Baker, who's here. You are honorable. Sitting on the couch. Thanks to the volunteers who are here setting this up today, hardworking volunteers that we have for the Green Party. It's just amazing. About the reasons as to why I'm now coming to this political path. In many ways, I feel as though my life in PEI has been gravitating toward a career in politics for quite some time. I'm known as a writer and musician, and I've been working as a music teacher for over 16 years now. And while I have absolutely loved this trifold profession of writing, teaching, and music performance, I can't deny that there has been a massive craving welling up within me for the past several years, a yearning to serve the community and our province on a grander scale. Members of the Green Party have approached me to run a few times over the past number of years, even as recently as leading up to this past federal election. But I've always declined, citing reasons of being too consumed with writing and musical projects and with teaching. But when a Green Party member approached me at the end of August with the idea of running for the Greens in this upcoming District 16 by-election, I sensed immediately a different energy about this option right away. And contrary to how I felt with being approached on previous occasions, I immediately started to feel excitement about this idea. And this was for 3 main reasons. One, this is for the provincial Green Party. And there are a number of realities as to why this is a very exciting point for me. I'll say the most important one first, and that is that, perhaps needless to say, considering my audience here, our provincial Green Party is a well-organized powerhouse, a group of absolutely amazing people who are supremely dedicated to the communities that they serve. They are the only official opposition out of any state or province in all of North America. And when I was approached to run, I promptly realized what an incredible honor it would be to serve alongside these remarkable MLAs, PEI. The second reason I was excited by this notion of running is it is a by-election, and as it has been through the different electoral circumstances of by-elections, that it's been some of the most noteworthy and longest-serving representatives that have entered into politics through by-elections, including District 16's own Ronnie McKinley in 1985, interestingly enough. The third reason I was excited about this idea, and again, this is a massively important reason, this is for Cornwall-Meadowbank. And for me, that makes all the difference. It's my hometown. It's where I spent 20 years of my life growing up down the road in Meadowbank. Here we are on Meadowbank Road. It is just less than 2 kilometers down the road that I grew up. Our little mini farm. This is where I went to school in this community. Where I played in the woods and the forest streams of Meadowbank, and where I chased our ducks off the road with a broom and a hockey stick when I was younger, with these cars honking at me trying to get past. Where my parents lived for over 30 years, and where I still have a great deal of family and friends, and where my heart is still deeply connected to. I love this place, and to be able to work hard for this community to help the citizens of Cornwall-Meadowbank in any way that I can do so, what a remarkable honor this would be. I've spent a lot of my life building relationships with Islanders. And I've realized that because of this, inadvertently, I've actually laid the groundwork for myself for a successful career in politics. Inadvertently, because I don't build relationships with people in order to achieve some sort of personal gain, aside from the fact that my life is simply enriched by their presence within it. And now here I am finding myself basically finally listening to the people who've been telling me a lot through these past years that I would make a good politician. And the two big reasons why I listened to this advice and decided to embrace this path right now are, number one, I have indeed built up a lot of strong relationships with the people in Cornwall-Meadowbank through the years and with Islanders in general. And I've realized that this can go hand in hand with working hard for them as an MLA. And the second reason, I have a great deal of care within me as a person, put it simply, and the need that accompanies someone who has a great deal of care is inevitably the need to have an outlet for this care. The more and more I learn about the job of an MLA, and I've talked to several MLAs over the past several weeks, I've had some amazing conversations, just learning about what this job is going to be all about. The more I'm convinced that this position would certainly provide the necessary outlet for me to help Islanders in ways that I know I can and that I yearn to. The question was asked me last week, why is it important to you to make sure people's days are better when you talk to them and that people around you are well cared for? Which was an interesting question. And I answered it with saying that I have no vested interest on a personal note, again, not with any thought of some kind of personal gain, but mainly that I want to live in a world where people are wholeheartedly kind to each other. So I live that way, and I hope that others have the same kind of outlook to do the same. And I have to say, it's also hard to answer that question without talking spirituality. I certainly don't want to delve too much into this area, into this context, but inevitably when someone's asked about their core values and motivations, it's really difficult to not tread into this territory. And I'm indeed a really spiritual person. I go out into the world every single day of my life thinking, how can I make this world, this community, a better place? And I ask for guidance and prayer to help others. And for me, it's always about giving to the community that I know I am lucky enough to be part of. It's the concept of what's called a participatory mandala. Every part is the center of the whole web of existence. At any one time, each of us is important enough as living beings to represent that center, and we give to each other wholeheartedly in this knowingness. And how much we each do to help the whole is up to each one of us. As an example here, and maybe just to sum up, on this note, I was fortunate enough to be a participant in the Charlottetown Yoga Festival this past took place at the beginning of July. And in one of the classes, the teacher gave us an affirmation to state together, and it went, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful, may I live with ease, may I be filled with love and kindness. And in a split second reaction within me, not even thinking about it, not thinking, but more so just fueled by a deep-hearted knowingness, I rephrased it to be, may we be happy, may we be healthy, may we be peaceful, may we live with ease, may we be filled with love and kindness. And as I embark on hopefully being a provincial representative in our legislative assembly for our island, and specifically for the community of my roots, Cornwall-Meadowbank, I think these words sum up what I hope to help bring about in my representation and in my serving. And again, to work hard for PEI, for the earth, for the community, for every single person that comes to me for help. What a paramount honor this would be.
That's great. So last question. When you were an MLA, what would your priority be?
When I'm an MLA, well, hopefully it'll happen. Fingers crossed. My priority will be definitely right now, I have to say, affordable housing is, I think, probably the most important issue facing Islanders, along with healthcare. But I do have to say, Can I get one thing to help answer that
Yep.
question?
Yep.
Okay. Shouldn't have had this over here,
Props.
but yeah. I am hugely excited to be running in this area, in Cornwall-Meadowbank. I was trying my best to express that in my introduction. But I love this community. I love the people from this community, and it excites me so much to be going back here. I've been, for the past 2 weeks, I've been connecting back with the people of Cornwall-Meadowbank and gathering signatures and talking to people at their doors. And what I'm really excited about is the canvassing experience. And I did buy a book last week, a writing book. It's blank right now.
It's green.
It is green, it's the right color. But in
What's
this,
the title on there, Tom?
yes, so the title on here is the most important things to work on. So, like I just said, affordable housing, healthcare, these are really important issues. But I know that when I go door to door, I'm going to fill this book in talking to the citizens of Cornwall-Meadowbank with the most important things to work on. And so I don't even know exactly what will be in this book. And so my answer to that question by the end of this campaign may completely change depending on what is important and what I learn from the citizens of Cornwall-Meadowbank. The most important things to work on.
Great place to end this conversation, but I don't want to end the conversation. We will continue it off screen. So my pleasure to introduce Peter Bevan-Baker, the leader of the Island Greens. Peter.
Hi, everyone. It's a real delight to be here in this very comfortable, warm room that we're in here in Cornwall, with Todd to my right and Susan to my left and everybody else around here, and lots of familiar faces on the screen as well. And I'm constantly reminded of what a lucky guy I am. I'm lucky in all kinds of ways to be doing the work I'm doing, to live where I am at this time, and to have really lovely people supporting me both in my personal life and also in my working life. And a lot has changed over the last few years in both of those areas. And so today I want to talk about change. I'm wearing this T-shirt not by accident. This was given to me when I talked at Dalhousie University about a week before the world shut down a couple of years ago. And I want to talk today about change. I want to talk about personal change, how as individuals we change. I want to talk about change at the community level, about collective change. And I also want to talk about the potential for momentous societal change. So going from the very small and personal to the very large. And I'm going to build my remarks today around 3 conversations that I've had in the past week. One of them was with the newly minted MP for Kitchener Centre, Mike Morris. Another conversation I had was with a group of seniors. It was a week ago today at Beaconsfield Parish House. I was invited to go and speak to a class there. And the third are, I guess, a number of conversations I've had around truth and reconciliation and about Treaty Day and all of those things regarding Indigenous issues that we've been talking about so much in the last week or so. So I want to start by talking about the conversation I had with Mike Morris, which happened on Friday. Now, I'd never met Mike before, but I have watched him being interviewed on national TV on a number of occasions. And I can tell you that he is just as lovely as I imagined he was going to be. He is the real deal. I wrote a number of adjectives which I would use to describe Mike. Mike is smart, he's gentle, he's humble, he's kind, he's authentic, he's driven, he's empathetic, and he's deeply committed to his community. Now, I feel like I could say exactly the same set of adjectives and describe Todd, who's sitting to my right here. In fact, listening to him talk in his opening remarks and in the responses that he gave to Susan's questions, there's a dramatic similarity in the way they approach life, and I imagine the way that they will approach politics. So in many ways, for me, Mike embodies the values that are the foundation for our party. And interestingly, the thing that Mike kept coming back to in the conversation, he's just such a decent and thoughtful guy. And his main concern was, how can I, this is Mike speaking, how can I maintain my integrity as a human being in this difficult world of politics? He asked me that question a number of ways, and I was really struck by how important that was to him. And I think it's important for all Green politicians that this is not just a job that we do for, and Todd also referenced this in his remarks. This is something that it's almost like a calling. It's a vocation. And there's something that I see in all the Green elected members that I have ever met and worked with in my life, is that same commitment to the community and that deep desire to not become something that you aren't, to maintain your integrity, to be authentic, to be honest, to be yourself. And Mike just exuded that. And my prediction is Mike is going to do just fine. There's a strength and a centeredness about Mike that was just quite compelling. And of course, we never met each other, but it was one of those conversations where immediately within a few seconds we clicked and we talked at great length and in great depth about a number of things. And one of the questions Mike asked was, how has politics changed me, Peter Bevan-Baker? And I mean, I've said this to, I think, a couple of people in the room here, that I am a better person for having become a politician. And that is shocking to me that those words would ever come from my mouth, but they honestly, sincerely do. I understand myself better. I understand the world around me better. I understand the complexities of human relationships better. I understand what being a leader, at least a leader with my characteristics and my personality, how I have managed to craft that. I understand that much better. I'm wiser, I'm more decisive. I'm an improved human being. And to me, that's a shocking and beautiful thing to be able to say. You have this sense that politics somehow eats you up and spits you out and sucks out any sense of decency and nobility that you have. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I see in Mike and I see in Todd the same desire to not lose that kernel of integrity that is such an important part, no matter what your work is, but particularly when you're working as a politician. And I have to say, I've also watched my friends in the Green Party caucus here on Prince Edward Island and on council and in the party mature and adapt to the position that we have as the first official opposition in North America that is Green. And to do that with a real sense of wanting to maintain their sense of purpose and not lose sight, not become just another party, but to do politics differently and to do it in the way that we want to do it and to feel proud about that every day. And it's one of my deepest hopes that all of us in the caucus, and I hope soon that we will be expanded by one, but that we will all look back at this special time that we're living in now as elected members in the PEI legislature, and on a personal level to look back at it as a time of great personal growth and also a time of great satisfaction. So from personal growth to community change to collective change, Mike also asked a lot of questions about how we as an organization, the Island Green Party, have managed to maintain our collective integrity and our commitment to Green Party values as we sort of navigated through the treacherous waters of politics. And that sort of takes me to the second conversation I had, which was with the group of seniors at Sean Murphy's class. Now, I know Sean's been running this class for many years, and it's always oversubscribed. And he's a great presenter. I've spoken at his class before, but it's been a few years. And Beaconsfield Carriage House was packed. Well, I mean, it's packed in the way that we are in COVID times, when people were 6 feet apart, but it was as packed as it could be. And of course, it's a seniors class. So for the vast majority of everybody who was sitting in that class for their adult lives, they voted in a way that did not have a green option, even if they had wanted or were inclined to vote green. That wasn't something that they could do. They very much lived in a two-party system. And I spoke for a little bit at the beginning, and then there was a series of questions, some very thoughtful, very insightful questions. There were a couple about proportional representation. There were a couple about the federal party. This happened to be the day that Annamie Paul resigned from her position, so people were very interested in the relationship that we have as a provincial party with the federal party, and Todd talked a bit about that. But the question and it came up a couple of times was, and I'm sort of paraphrasing, they said, how on earth did the Green Party manage to establish itself as a political force here on Prince Edward Island? And that's a really good question. And I'm not going to go into what my analysis of that is, but what struck me was the sentiment of the question, which made the assumption that the Green Party is a political force here on Prince Edward Island that's here to stay. And going back to something Mike Morris said, he also asked how, and the way he put it was, how have you managed to change politics on Prince Edward Island as profoundly as you have in such a short time? And, you know, those two things made me more acutely aware than perhaps ever before about the depth of change that we have brought to this place. And it made me pause, and it made me realize that change has happened. Change is happening here on Prince Edward Island. And that's happening at a collective level, and it's happening because of the work that we have done as a party over the last few years. And isn't that cool? That is an amazing thing. And to be a part of that is just astonishing, that level of community collective change that has happened here in this island over the last few years. The last level of change, and this is, I'm down at the momentous, or up rather, the momentous level of change here. In Canada last week, we commemorated for the first time the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And the following day, that was on Thursday, and the following day was Treaty Day, when we uphold the importance and the relevance of the peace and friendship treaties that were signed here and across the country back in the 18th century between various Indigenous peoples and the Crown. And I have to say, I've been really heartened by how much awareness is now present among non-Indigenous Canadians compared to even a few years, or maybe even last year. I think things have moved ahead astonishingly in such a short time. But I'm also aware that awareness is really only the first very small step along what will undoubtedly be a very long and difficult path. And as retired senator and retired chief justice and chair of the TRC, Murray Sinclair, has said, it took many, many generations of constant oppression for us to reach where we are today. And it's going to take many, many generations of extremely hard work for us to reach what he describes as true reconciliation. He doesn't expect to see that in his lifetime, nor, he says, in the lifetime of his children and perhaps even his grandchildren. But thanks to his work and the work of countless other Indigenous leaders across this country, for his inspiring generosity of spirit and his incredible capacity to forgive, I think things are finally moving, and that's very exciting. Murray Sinclair also said that getting to the truth, he chaired the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and he said getting to the truth was difficult. That's an understatement if ever there was one. But he said getting to reconciliation will be far, far harder. And the first time that we commemorated this National Day for Truth and Reconciliation really honored the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And the fact that it happened in concert with Orange Shirt Day, highlighting that truth that is emerging about residential schools, about 60 Scoop, about all of the oppressive, demeaning, abusive things that are associated with colonialism. I think something very profound is happening here. And Treaty Day, the day that followed, highlights the foundational, those legal documents that are alive and that we all have responsibilities to, even here today in the 21st century. And these are hard conversations. This is difficult and work, and while I'm desperately concerned that far too many non-Indigenous Islanders and Canadians continue to be largely unaware, perhaps unwilling, to accept the consequences of those legal treaties. There's a lack of understanding of the relevance that they have for us who are alive today in year 2021 here on Turtle Island. But I am also extraordinarily grateful for the forward momentum that is happening. I think it is possible that we stand at one of those hinge moments when that momentous societal change is about to occur. And I'm not naive enough to get too excited at this point in time, but I am, as a settler person, I'm pausing, I'm listening, I'm trying as best I can to be a good ally, to be a sincere and helpful ally, and in my actions going forward. So change is all around us, it's inside us, it's happening at a personal level, it's happening at a collective level here on Prince Edward Island, and I think it's possible that it's happening at a much larger scale than that. And the ongoing work of shaping the future from the past, which is really what politics is all about, is how we learn, it's how we improve, and it's the way forward, about how we perceive the world that we live in and how we understand ourselves. And in so doing, improve ourselves as citizens and improve the world around us. And I was really touched by Todd's commitment to wanting to make this world a better place. 7 years ago, I'm almost done now. 7 years ago, a citizen who's deeply dedicated to improving himself, and as I just said, the world around him, called me up and he asked if I would be willing to write a short piece for a book that he was working on. The book is called Global Chorus, and the citizen is, of course, Todd MacLean. And Todd is, oh, he's so many things. He's a leader, he is a visionary, he's an explorer, he's a community organizer, he's a duck chaser, I discovered this evening. And it seems that everything he touches, he does brilliantly. He's a real Renaissance person. And you know what? I can't wait to campaign with him and to welcome him into the official opposition caucus. But you know what? Above all else, I'm most thrilled because we have a gap in the Green Party band for a sax player. And we have in Todd a multi-instrumentalist. He can sing, he can play guitar, he can play keyboards, he can play sax. So that's really what I'm most excited about. Maybe you'll get elected, Todd, but you will definitely have a place in the Green Party band. So I remain absolutely humbled to be the leader of the Island Green Party, this incredibly special organization that we've built here and continue to build. And I just can't wait for the next chapter to welcome Todd into our caucus in the official opposition office. And as we've heard tonight, Todd is just an extraordinary communicator. He is dedicated to this community. He has already campaigned with a vigor that I know is going to stand him in enormously good stead in the by-election that's upcoming. So please join me in thanking Todd for coming forward. And I'm kind of preempting the vote here, and I'm assuming that things are going to go okay here. But it's been a real honor, as always, to be able to speak with you this evening. And I so look forward to working with Todd in the future. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you as always, Peter. Every time I hear Peter speak, I get reconnected with the green values that brought me to this party in the first place. So thank you. I have the privilege of reading the election results. So Todd, you play a lot of instruments. Do you do drum rolls?
I do not.
Oh, there we have drum rolls. Thank you. So the election results, there were 48 ballots cast, 0 for no candidate, and 48 for our next. So I am going to invite the winning nominee to the podium to accept the results of the ballot and your nomination as our upcoming candidate for 2016. Congratulations.
Thank you. So yes, this is all, it's very overwhelming for me. And I have to say, like I've said the word honor several times already this evening, but it really is such a supreme honor to now be actually declared the official candidate here in District 16, and it's really blowing my mind right now. But this is going to be so exciting. I have to say, I just have to mention, like, I'm not sure how much time we have, but I don't want to take too much time with this part, but I have to acknowledge Josh Underhay and his passing. And I don't know if I would be here right now if Josh hadn't passed away, actually, because I think about him almost on a daily basis. He and I weren't even really that close. But his passing really struck me as it struck everyone in the Green Party and Islanders as a whole in a big way. And he and I, we had said, like, before he passed away, we wanted to go out and have a coffee together and really connect. And unfortunately, we never did get to do that. But I feel like when Josh passed away, there was a torch dropped on the ground. And I think the Green Party MLAs have done an incredible job with hoisting up that torch to the sky since his passing, and I feel a calling to raise that torch even higher. And I also I've lost a couple of friends as well that are. I need to just mention that, like, it's past where I had an epiphany. Well, a number of years ago, I lost my friend Jacqueline, who grew up in Elliott Park here in Cornwall, and I felt that she's been an angelic presence in my life for a long time. This past winter, I lost a friend, Ryan Clow, in a skiing accident. And this past summer, I went to a memorial event, and then happened to come, that was for Ryan Clow, and I happened to come to Cornwall after that. And as I was driving through town here, I did have a reconnection feeling with Cornwall-Meadowbank. It felt very profound at the time. And I feel as though all these, the passing of Josh, Jacqueline, and Ryan, it's basically helped me to realize that life can be short, and basically it's helped me realize, don't wait to help this community in the ways that you know you can help it. Don't wait to give what you know you can give. And essentially, in a nutshell, what I've realized, and that's why I'm going for this now. And I'm embracing this position with gratitude, with humility, and with a firm dedication to this community. To do absolutely everything I can do in the coming weeks and months to successfully be voted in to serve Cornwall-Meadowbank as a new member of the Legislative Assembly. Let the adventure begin. Thank you, and onward we go to the listening trail, as Peter so appropriately called it, and learn about what the most important things will be to work on.
you again so much. So that is the closure of the business section of our meeting. And we now get to the exciting campaign launch of the meeting. And we're going to ask Jordan to speak to everybody as well as Lynn. And I think we're going to start with Lynn. Lynn is online, so there she is. Coming to us from wonderful, where are you tonight?
I'm in Somerset at my mom's house, actually.
I can't hear you though. We're gonna
Can you-
turn you up. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
No?
Can you hear me?
Well,
Everybody online can hear me?
Okay, okay, that's great. All right, so Lynn, take it away and then Jordan will follow.
Thank you so much, Susan, and thank you, everyone. I am so excited to be able to say that Todd MacLean is going to be running for the Green Party in District 16. Todd is exactly the sort of candidate that I would be hoping would be representing us in the by-election. If you know Todd, he exemplifies our values perfectly. But beyond that, Todd is, well, actually, I would choose a lot of the same adjectives that Peter did. Todd is humble. Todd is kind. He is compassionate and intelligent, and he's hardworking. I don't know if you know this, but Todd has already been out at the doors, listening, really listening to the people in Cornwall-Meadowbank. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if the people in District 16 trust Todd with their vote, he will keep on listening and amplifying their voices in the legislature, because that is exactly what Greens do. As the deputy leader of this party, I can tell you that behind the scenes, we are doing everything we possibly can to get ready. And I want to take a second and thank our provincial council for doing that hard work, because it's being done beautifully. So thank you to each and every one of you that are getting this work done. I can tell you that our entire caucus, many of whom are here tonight, are gearing up and are so excited to knock on doors and campaign alongside Todd in District 16. The Island Green Party is ready for this by-election. And frankly, the more time they want to give us, the more ready we're going to get. I think Todd is an outstanding individual. And if you know him, I'm willing to bet that you think that too. But campaigns are not won by individuals. They are won by teams. They are won by donors. They are won by volunteers. They are won by people like you. And believe me, I know that. I did not win my campaign alone, and none of us did. So I need you to step up. I need you to join us. Even if you have never been involved in a campaign before, I guarantee you, you already have skills that we can use. And our campaign teams are more than prepared to help you upskill. If you want to learn new campaign skills, there is space for that too. But whether you have a little time to give or a lot of time to give, there is no shortage of work to do. And I'm going to tell you a secret, campaigning is so much fun. So from door knocking to flyer dropping to entering in data and making phone calls and bringing food to the office because, oh my goodness, Todd and his volunteers are going to need to eat. There is just no shortage of ways that you can contribute to this campaign in a little way or in a big way. So if that's something you would consider, please come and talk to one of us, send us an email or a message, because we absolutely want to help you get involved with this campaign. It's going to take all of us. And you know, the other part of that is it does take money to run campaigns. And Greens always wish it didn't take money to run campaigns, because none of us ever feel good about it. But the reality is, in the last by-election, the winning campaign outspent us almost by 3 times as much money. And we are regularly seeing the older parties just spending way more than we do. And while we never intend to be wasteful with money, and we never will be, we will always treat donation dollars with as much care as we would if they were our own dollars. It does take money to run a campaign, and I want to make sure that we are in the best possible position to hit the ground running with Todd whenever the Premier decides to call this by-election. So in case you did not know that political party donations are eligible for generous tax donations or tax receipts, excuse me, I would just like to bring that to your attention. And perhaps this would be a good time to ask Jordan to tell us a little bit more. Very helpful. Jordan, would you talk to us about our tax credits for political donations?